What's up out there? We need to talk about this Exsanguinate build that I've got going on. So this is only Delve Depth 55, Monster level 73. I am currently level 82 with this. This is more just to show this how the skill works a little bit. It's unfortunately a little bit darker of a map. But I do have a microtransaction on here. I forgot I actually bought this and I ended up turning it back on. So this skill is nasty, man. This thing is just nasty. So it will actually go out in front of you and kill like everything all in its path. So one of the things that I do when I'm going through the campaign or mapping or whatever is look for where the dead bodies are, because that's probably where I just came from. The problem with this skill is it leaves stuff dead in front of you and behind. So you come walking over the bodies you just came in, and then it creates more bodies in front of you. So you see this little fruity plant looking stuff going off in the distance. This is a chaining skill. This thing actually connects a whole bunch of things together, and it's just like connect the dot with all these little monsters, and it just decimates stuff. Now, I don't know how well this is going to scale for me personally. The person that I'm following, or the build that I got, is from someone named Pawalos13. I'll try to remember to link the build down below at the bottom, so you can check it out and take a look at it. But they had this build, I think, in last league, and I don't even remember how I found it or why I found it. I think I was looking for like a Scion build or Ascendant, whatever you want to call this thing. I think I was looking for a build just to tinker with that class, and it was one I think I tried at the very end of last league, and I kind of forgot about it. I have this whole idea of doing an armor stacker for next league, at least an attempt at an armor stacker. I don't know that I'm going to get it done, but the problem with armor stackers is that you actually have to have a build that can get to level 90 first, and then you do your armor stacker after that. And I tried Juggernaut, I tried Champion. I didn't care for any of them. I ended up cleaning them all out, getting rid of them. But I did like the Scion, or I thought the Scion was pretty cool, and I was like, well, I need to find a Scion build, and then it dawned on me that I've been sitting on this Exsanguinate build this entire league. And I actually have, what is this, Exsanguinate of Transmission. I've had this thing, I've had that Transfigured gem for a while now. So I've really just seriously been sitting on this thing. So we'll go over the build here in a second. I still don't fully understand it. I haven't really invested a ton of time into it. Trying to actually understand the build. I've been throwing gear at it and doing things, but this is a little bit further outside of my comfort zone, and you'll notice we're running Righteous Fire. I guess that's just for some extra damage. It's probably something that doesn't really cost anything or have any effect to it or whatever. But yeah, this thing is just nasty. So, you know what? Let's go try to run a map real quick here. I have not really ran too many maps. What I've been running is, say, low-level stuff. We'll do this Forking River. And we may die on this one, but we'll try it. We'll see what happens. So I forgot you have to turn on Righteous Fire every time you enter something. It's been so long since I played Righteous Fire. And this is a low life build. I'm not getting into the Wildwood because it's going away soon and I want to see how this build goes. But you'll just see stuff die out in front of you. Like, I'll unleash this thing and stuff just goes away. And you can see this, if you can see the microtransaction on this thing, you'll see it spin around. Like, it's like lightning. When it goes off, it just goes in random directions. Whatever direction the enemy is, it just goes from one to the next. And just decimates stuff. And you hit it, like I'm right-clicking one time and everything's dying in front of me. Now, I could probably do a lot higher tier map, or maybe a little higher tier map, I'm not sure. I haven't really been pushing this. I've been trying to level up as much as possible, so I've been trying to limit the amount of times I die, which is fairly difficult. I pushed into level 80-something monsters. What are we in here? This is level 69. I think I'm in the delve thing that I was at level 80, 81, something like that, and I died a few times. It's a little slower. I need to get movement speed and stuff. I'm not necessarily happy with the way my flasks are set up. I might need a different triggering mechanism. I have like on hit but that's because I basically pulled all the, I pulled the most of the gear that's on this build from my Bone Shattered Juggernaut build that I've got. Hey, you see how it zipped through there like a big Z shape or something? Like, this thing is just crazy how it goes. You'll go in, there'll be a doorway or something, and the monster, the chain will come through the doorway and just kill everything around the corner. It's hilarious. This thing is nasty. Like, it just... And then I get a big burst of speed because my my flask tops off and it starts running. But this is... I love this build. I am having a blast playing this. So I think what I want to do for my league start, I was thinking about this a little bit more. I found out there's a thing called, oddly enough, accuracy stackers, and I didn't know that was even a thing. But you can build one off of a Juggernaut build. I thought, you know what, that sounds kind of cool. I don't know that that's like too many projects to do, but I was thinking about doing my Bone Shatter Juggernaut anyway, and I think I know how I want to do this now. So I think what I want to do is start 3 builds on day 1. And I think you can actually league start the Scion build. I think you can actually start that day 1. So that's what I plan on doing. Get some more speed here, move up a little faster. And what I want to do is start all 3 builds on the first day. And I think I want to get all 3 up into the very first section. Right into the first town where, I don't remember what it is, Lion Eye or whatever. I want to get right up into that first section. Drop this off here and go fight this boss. And the cool thing is, all 3 builds that I want to do, because I want to do a Caustic Arrow build, which is going to do armor and evasion gear, and I want to do a Bone Shatter Juggernaut build, which is armor and evasion gear, and I want to do this build, which is armor and evasion gear. So I can actually just... Oh, I don't have my curse. But, yeah, there goes the boss. That's that. And I know this is a lot less... Like, this is a very low-tier fight. But still, I'm impressed at how fast that goes. Alright, so let's take a look at this build. So... I am doing... How much am I doing? 162,000 DPS combined right this moment. I know that's not necessarily great. The person that built this says you can get it up to like 10 million or something, but that's like a really high investment cost in Trade League. And we're talking about me in SSF. So I'm not going to be anywhere near that, which is fine. I don't really care. Like I said, this is basically the reason I wanted... If I can get that to load, the reason that I want to work on this build is because I want to take it into the end game, get it up to level 90. I've got it to level 82 right here. It's not that big a deal. So level 90 shouldn't be a big deal. And somewhere between 80, 85, and 90 is when you start off with armor stackers. So I need some builds that can go into heist and do some various things. I need stuff that can kill the end game bossing. Like, we're going to need Eater down, Exarch down, that kind of thing. Eater and Exarch are kind of the 2 that I really want to get, or like that's the benchmark. That's where I need to be. So then I just need some builds that'll do that. So if I start all 3 builds on day 1, what I'm thinking is that I can actually take, say, the Caustic Arrow build and go for a little while. And then all the gear that I take from that, as I switch gear out, I'll just put it in my stash. And then the next character can just put that gear on and then continue on through the campaign with that character. And then when that character upgrades its gear, it'll take that first player's hand-me-downs, put those back in the stash, and I may find some other stuff along the way to swap out. Most of these builds are about the same. Like this, the gloves, the boots, the chest piece, and the helmet. Actually, the rings and the amulet. I don't think the belt did. The belt came from somewhere else. Actually, the belt was one that I had in my stash because I was running Immortal Flesh on my Bone Shatter Juggernaut. And we theoretically, well, it's close. Probably don't want to try that here, but all the rest of this gear besides the belt and the flask came from my Bone Shatter Juggernaut. So, I mean, you can literally just take the gear off of one and put it on another. I've ran out a lot of currency. I'm really currency starved right now, trying to change all the colors on this stuff and get it right, especially these weapons. I screwed up earlier and I need to get a color change on that still yet, but keep running out of currency. But anyway, the premise is all three of the builds that I want to bring in can use the exact same gear. So I thought, you know what, if I get them all past Hillock to where I can just swap stuff out, I'll just advance them all a little bit at each time. And I don't necessarily have to get one all the way through, but I'll just throw stuff in my stash and then work slowly in the first week or so. I'll work through there and get all three characters out, or all three of the builds out into the end game. It's going to cost a lot of currency to get them all up to date. And I may just stick with one. Doesn't matter which one, but I'll stick with one. I'll get it built up. I'll get it, to where I can start carrying the other stuff up. I ran, I don't know, 5 or 6 different. Now, we had a lot of extra currency with the Wildwood and stuff this league, but I ran so many different characters this league. I've burned through so many different regret orbs and chromes and all kinds of stuff. Like, I've gone through a ton of currency. So I think I should be, and regret orbs, just the amount of stuff that I've gone through to change out skill trees and stuff, to go through and level up 3 builds straight through. I know where they need to be now with all the passive trees and stuff. I found 3 good builds that I like for them. So getting them into the mapping section should not be a big deal. Getting them geared up, yeah, it's going to suck having to do all 3 of them, but with the amount of stuff that I've changed, regret orbing off this build to be an armor stacker shouldn't be too big a deal. I mean, I've had enough of that currency, so I'm okay with all that. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. And where I've got this now, I went through basically the entire campaign with uniques, and I now have, I don't have all, well, everything on here was unique at one point, and I've switched it all out to regular gear, and then I switched it out to the gear that was on my Bone Shatter Juggernaut. I went and confiscated gear from all the other builds that I've done, and then I ended up thinking, you know what, it's the very end of the league. I'll just clean out my Bone Shatter Jug and put it on here. So he's still there, but all his gear's been converted over to this stuff and changed color. So at any rate, let's take a look at this thing. So the first thing is, I found this Cold Iron Point Ezomite Dagger, which has +3 levels to all physical spell skill gems. I didn't realize it. I was looking at the guide for this. I went with like a two-handed axe to begin with because it's a physical-based skill. I should show you the skill here in a second, but when I was reading the guide for this, I went back and reread this. It said I needed to use daggers or scepters. And I started looking at this, and I found this dagger, and I thought, well, this does a lot of damage. It's got 30% increased global crit chance and +3 to all physical spell skill gems. Well, if you get 2 of these, that's what the build calls for. So I already had one, and I'm thinking, all right, I just need to make sure and grab 2 of these next time. It must be a fairly common drop because I already had one. What we're using is this Exsanguinate of Transmission. Now, I knew I wanted to run this build, or I was hoping to run this build at some point during this league, and I expected to do it sooner, but then I got into all kind of other stuff. And now I'm back to this build, and I actually built it and we're up to level 82, so it'll get further before I go because I'm enjoying playing it. But this thing here deals physical damage. It's got base fizz damage per second. Base duration is 2.9 seconds. Chains +22 times. And modifiers to spell damage apply to this skill's damage over time effect. Fires tendrils up to 1 target. So if I go over the tooltip here, we're doing 307 to 461 base damage. If I look at it over here, it's 4940 to 7418. And I know this tooltip isn't the greatest, but so it deals 31,449 fizz per second, chains 24 times. It deals no chaos and deals no elemental, but man, this thing hits like a truck. So basically we've got this, and there's regular Exsanguinate, but I already had this Exsanguinate of Transmission, so I just used it since I saw it pop up on one of the things in the Labyrinth run, so I switched over and got it. Or I grabbed it while it was there because I knew I wanted to do this build. But this build calls for brutality, chain support, controlled destruction, cruelty, and efficacy. So that's what I've got on here on my 6th link. Then we've got Pride, Warbanner, Grace, and Petrified Blood over here, which this Petrified Blood, I There's like total pucker factor on this thing. I don't understand how it works. I need to spend some time to really read into this and see how it goes, because it's like some weird life recovery other than flask cannot recover life to above low life. When taking damage from hits, 40% of life lost below half is prevented. Then 83% of life lost prevented this way is lost over 4 seconds. So it like slows down your life loss or something. Skills gain a base life cost equal to 40% of base mana cost while not on, I don't know, whatever. I don't really care. I saw that, I put it on, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this, but I do have a little bit of energy shield on here, which basically goes away when I put my Righteous Fire on. And I think the Righteous Fire is just there to do a little extra damage. But anyway, that's what those are. And then we've got Vitality, Herald of Purity, Arrogance, and Vulnerability, Enduring Cry, Righteous Fire, and Reap. Now, the Reap, you're supposed to swap out with the Exsanguinate, and then instead of Chain Support, they are using a Swift Affliction. Now, this is also with Empower Gems and Awaken Gems and stuff like that that I don't have yet. I need to figure out how to farm that stuff, which I'm pretty sure is all like bossing and things like that. But I need to figure out how to farm that stuff for next league. That's a problem for a different day, but there's a lot of Awaken stuff that comes into this. And then for a movement skill, we've got Flame Dash, he's got Whirling Blades and Life Tap on here. And then we've got Arcanist Brand Life Tap, and it's supposed to be Vulnerability over here, but I screwed this up and I tried changing something out and mistakes were made. So I need to get my Steel Skin back in here, and I need to get this Life Tap up here. Or wherever it was, wherever it came from, I don't remember. But anyway, that is what this build is set up. And we've got tons, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different auras running. This is insane, the amount of auras that are running. So we've got the War Banner, the Vitality, the Herald of Purity. And some of this is reserving life, some of it's reserving mana. So there's Pride, there's Petrified Blood, and then there's Grace. I've never seen so much stuff. I guess this is what you would call an aura stacker or something. I totally don't know the terminology for it, but whatever. I don't care. This has been a lot of fun. The passive tree is basically you start off here on this side, and you come into here and you run around, and then eventually you pull these points out. That's why they're not here anymore. But I need to pick up Tireless over here, which you got a lot of reduction in skill costs. We've got like Juggernaut, Cannibalistic Rite, Bloodless, Call to Arms, down here for Champion of the Cause, Brink of Death, over here for the Prismatic Skin. Then we're back over to Exceptional Performance, Reflexes, Charisma, Inveterate, Master of Blades, Leadership, and then on over to Pain Attunement, which is 30% more spell damage when on low life. There's a few things I need to keep in mind with this. The low life is one thing. There was something else I needed to, oh, there's a few things. So some of the masteries that we've got, like this one is +1 to all max LE res if helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have armor. And then there's another, this has got life efficiency of skills. There's another one over here that is, where is that? There's this one here is +1 to all maximum elemental resistances if you have reserved life and mana. I thought there was one for, maybe not. This one, 5%, 15%, +15% chance to suppress spell damage if equipped helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have evasion. So, like I was saying earlier, all three of the builds that I want to do are all going to be basically this gear here. They're all going to have armor, evasion, and they're going to be the exact same things. The gauntlets, the everything that I'm going to be doing is going to be what, dragon scale or whatever. Like these gloves could probably be better. The armor piece could be better, stuff like that, but they're all going to have the same things because the other builds that I'm using are doing iron reflexes down here, which converts your evasion to armor or dex to evasion, whatever, however all that works, it's doing that. So all these are going to be running the exact same things, and they can all use the Carnage Heart. I had to reallocate Arcanist Dominion on here. I don't have enough of the oils. If I go, not that, I want Blight. So I needed like silver oils or something, and I couldn't quite get there. So I ended up anointing this. This gives me a little bit of intelligence, increased cast speed, and increased spell damage, because although this is a melee gem, I guess it's red, so it's melee gem. It's spell, chaining, oh yeah, physical, and then duration. So that's why this thing has +3 levels of all fizz spell gems. So this thing's getting +3. So it would get another +3 if I can find another one of those daggers. And this is just, this thing slays. Now no, too many escape buttons. So what I am missing is this jewel socket here. Let's see. I need to finish out a couple points there. I think I might come over to this jewel socket. The POB for last league is different than the one this league, and I need to see how it's changed. So the last league one came over here. There's some lightning res, cold res, and then this jewel socket, but I think that got changed. And then over here's a jewel socket. There's a jewel socket here, and then there's a jewel socket there. Those are ones I'm going to be putting points into next as I level up. But then at some point, this little Master of Blades section comes off, and we come on off of this large jewel socket. The problem is I'm out of currency, and I don't have enough to really make whatever's being called for over here. This is using Battle Hardened and Furious... Battle Hardened, Furious Assault, and Master the Fundamentals. Are all those picked? Yeah, Battle Hardened, Master the Fundamentals, and Furious Assault. So, I don't know if I'm going to exactly get that kind of setup, you know, with whatever cluster jewels I get, but I'll be coming off of this area here and robbing some stuff off here. The problem is this gives you 30%. This gives you like 58% fizz damage. So there's 30% increased physical damage there. So there's 44 and then 58%. So that's a lot of fizz damage coming off of that thing that I would have to be replacing before I move over to this. And there's some other stuff that needs to be done, but I really like the way this build's going. And I need to level up my Reap. So Reap is only currently at level 11 or level 8. So I got a long way to go. I didn't have an open socket for it, and I finally got one. This mistake actually opened that up, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll just throw that in there. And then I'll have to do Swift Affliction or something like that. So I've got a couple of sockets open. Man. But I need to really go in and see what's changed on this build, because now things are a little different, and this build is slightly different than it was. Oh, there is another jewel socket I missed right there. I'll be coming into that one too. So as I level up, and we're at level 82, so I've got 8 levels. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 points right there. 7. There's 7 of the 8 to get to level 90. And then I'll have to see where everything goes from there, because I'm not sure this goes much further than where I'm at. It's 121 of 128, and this is basically the very bottom. So there might be some nodes open to, you know, like maybe I could come up into here, which would help out with the lightning and cold, stuff like that. But you know what? I wonder, I do have 10% of fizz damage taken as lightning. Like I said, this came from my Bone Shatter build, so this has got some fizz taken as, or damage recouped as life. But this also came from my Bone Shatter build, so it's got a lot of 10% increased life regen, 7% increased life regen, chaos resistance. Like, I've got great chaos resistance at 15 plus 15% is way better than 0 or negative. So I've actually got chaos res. I've got a bunch of evasion on here. Like, this is a pretty, for me, this is a decent build, and we've got decent damage and everything. So yeah, I am really digging this. And like I said, I think that's what I want to do, is just go ahead and start all 3 builds day one. We're just going to start right out of the gate. I'll get them all up to the very first section, and then we'll just go from there. So yeah, this is, I think this is a fantastic build. Like, this stuff just dies. I've not played a build like this yet. Like, most of the builds that I've played, like Bone Shatter, you just got to go beat on things for a while, or the bow builds, or the bleed builds I've tried, you kind of just hit stuff a little bit, and you know, you just keep shooting it until it dies or whatever. This thing, like, I just right click one time and that whole chain goes off, and it's just catastrophe. And then you've got these guys that pop out and do, you know, their own thing too, which is pretty cool. All right, let's go get rid of this thing first. Maybe not. I need to be able to get to my, oh yeah, no. Oh, I did put vulnerability on Arcanist Brand. Yeah. Except it's not life tapped. So this weird petrified blood thing is kind of interesting. I'm getting used to it because I'm not used to being like such low life, and then I'm casting life spells. I need more life regen, I think, to make this a little cozier, and more efficiency. So as I stack those gems up, I want to get mana efficiency and stuff like that, or straight up reservation efficiency if I can get that far. That'll be the next big thing, is making sure that all those jewels and stuff have mana reservation efficiency. I do have somewhere, let's get out of here. I do have, if I can get it made, I do have, where is it at? This Darkness Enthroned. So 99% increased effective socketed abyssal jewels. That sounds really cool. So if I can make some really cool abyssal jewels or something over here that like almost doubles them, you know? So I might be able to switch this out, but this already has a ton of max life, some fire res. Like I'd have to really get some bang for my buck on it. Now I do have, actually I've got some of these here that have some stuff socketed up. And I don't know what I have on my other build so I've got two builds right now. I've got the Caustic Arrow and I've got this build. And I don't remember what I've got on Caustic Arrow, but this has got like regen 41 life per second. That might be a little better, but this has got less. Oh, it's got 30 max life. So like this has got a little bit of fizz damage, some accuracy, a little bit of energy shield, fire, and cold res. The interesting thing is that I've got room for cold res on here, so I could put some other suffix on here. I don't know that I could get max life though, but I do have options. So yeah, there's like so many, this is basically the end game gear that I had for my Bone Shatter Juggernaut, but it needs to be tweaked for this build. It's just kind of cool to be able to take that gear and put it right over here and just march forward with it. But anyway, that is where I'm at with this Exsanguinate build, and looking forward to, we've got what, less than 5 days until we get the announcement for the next league. So I'm going to wait until that league announcement before I decide, before I set up my Atlas tree. I'll have a video out for that at some point. And then, like I said, I'm going to just league start all three builds, and then we'll go from there. Unless this league announcement has some massive, massive changes to it, like that make me not want to run one of these builds or completely change my strategy. I plan on playing these three builds, and then we'll see what this turns out to be as a league. And if I need to make adjustments, I'll make adjustments. But that's going to be my league starts, is this Exsanguinate build, the Caustic Arrow, and the Bone Shatter Juggernaut. That way I can tinker around. I'll have my Caustic Arrow to do the actual league stuff with. Bone Shatter Jug, if I want to do the league stuff, I can use that because I know that's a proven one that works. And then I can try and do an accuracy stacker with that one if I feel like it. That'll be like on the back burner. But then this Exsanguinate build will lead to a armor stacker, and that's the one that I really want to do. And I want to program some heist in and do some stuff like that. So anyway, that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.